Hello, welcome. I'm going to do another reading today. This is not the reading I'd been planning to do, but this is definitely the reading that has really just come to me. So it's going to be about, there was a case in the US. It was a woman called Jodi Arias who was convicted, found guilty of murdering her, I'm not even going to say, murdering a man called Travis Alexander. They had been in a relationship of sorts. It was a relationship really of convenience for him, and for her it was became quite obsessive, and it obviously triggered a lot of her more, I guess, malefic sort of qualities. So anyway, what I am being asked to channel is basically the situation within her prior to sort of, I guess, within the couple of months leading up to Mr. Alexander's murder. She was found guilty. Initially, you can actually, I'll put the links down below for this. There are quite interesting police interrogations relating to this case, which is what first interested me in the case, because it's quite an interesting sort of look at the psyche of somebody in that kind of unusual situation. Initially, she denied being there and having anything to do with the murder. Eventually, then this kind of went through a couple of transformations, her story, and then eventually in court, in the trial, she admitted to murdering him, but she sort of said that that it was self-defense. Let's just say it was self-defense according to her. However, there is some evidence to suggest that she actually premeditated the murder, going back to a few months prior to the murder, when there was a break-in entry at her grandparents' house and a gun was stolen, and it was the same caliber as the gun that was used in Mr. Alexander's murder. Now, I think the reason that this is coming up now is that this woman, she's recently had her first appeal. It's recently been before the court. I personally, I'm going to put this out there, I'm going to say that I would not be at all surprised if her appeal goes well. And I'm saying this because she is a Cancerian, and we are about to experience the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is in Capricorn, which is directly, obviously, opposite her sun. And this is going to be an unusual time, and I just wouldn't be surprised if something kind of comes her way. I just feel as though her situation, we haven't heard the end of this for her. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a new trial, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's acquitted, or I wouldn't be surprised if she gets the death penalty, because it was very close last time. I know I'm sort of hedging my bets here, but I do feel as though there's going to be significant news around her appeal. And I think this is why this has come up now. So anyway, I'm using the my Psycards, which are based on Jungian archetypes, which I think is really relevant for this, because I want to look at like what was going on with her, inside of her, prior to the murder, coming up to the murder, and potentially instigating her kind of tipping point, I suppose. Also, I do feel as though the relationship, this kind of relationship, however you want to frame it, between she and Mr. Alexander, did have a lot of archetypal sort of scenarios and energy surrounding it, including, like, I guess, the seductress. There's some like religious kind of thing going on in there. There's yeah, anyway, I'll put the links down below so you can really have a look. It's very fascinating. Okay, so I've shuffled the cards. I'm doing this one-handed again until I get this freaking tripod. So I'm just going to lay out the first cards. These have been shuffled really well, and we're going to start by laying down the houses. I've begun with the Inquirer because I just want that to be at the center, representing her. Okay, this card is the house. It's basically, we're going to use this house for what she was thinking about. We're going to use this house down here to talk about how she was feeling. So we've got thinking, feeling. Okay, we're going to use this card for this house is going to represent what she was hiding from everybody. And then, okay, this house we're going to look at is what she presented, or how she presented to the world. And this all relates to basically probably from a couple of months up until the murder, which occurred in June of 2008. Okay, so let's say something on the Inquirer. First card, okay. So first card related to her. So we're looking at her having this this period where she's in retreat. She'd obviously taken herself away from the world. She was doing some thinking, some research. She was potentially, actually, this wouldn't surprise me because she was apparently checking in on him. She was a stalker to the extent that she had access to his email, his Facebook and whatnot, and it wouldn't surprise me if she was sort of like keeping tabs on him. She had apparently been spying on him. So I'm going to suggest that she was researching, she was thinking about this, and she definitely had her eye on him prior to the day. Okay, and so for her, right, what she's thinking about, what's on her mind, is we've got the home here, and that's a sense of feeling secure. This is, she wants to feel secure, she wants to feel at home, she wants to feel at peace, both like in the world but also within herself. And we've got the Birth card, and this card talks about new beginnings. So for her, before the murder, before the months, you know, from within a few months leading up to June, she was like, on her mind, like foremost within herself, she was doing a lot of research. She'd divorced herself from the world. She'd, you know, sort of secluded herself, put herself away, and she was thinking about a new beginning, and the new beginning that was actually going to keep her, provide her the sense of security and harmony and peace and safety, and the sort of grounding that she's requiring in life. And this is what she's feeling about. This is what she's feeling about. This is how she's feeling within herself. She's actually feeling very grounded. She's feeling very healthy, and she's feeling lucky. She's feeling well. She's feeling as though there is a new beginning. There is a new birth about to occur. There is something positive and freeing coming up for her, which is quite interesting. And the freeing, I mean, we can see here the tree, which is about health and vitality and growth, and your roots as well, and what sort of being grounded can help you, how that can help you emerge into the world. And that relates here to what she's thinking about as well, which is new growth, new potential, new beginnings, that are going to make her feel secure and safe, and yeah, she's feeling as though she's lucky. There's some luck coming her way. And over here we have what she's not showing the world. So this is what this is sort of her private world. And we have over here, this card relates to not necessarily simply religious institutions, but it relates to peace of mind and the solace that we can find. And oh, well, this is interesting. She's also feeling that there's growth here. She's feeling as though there's potential for a really grounded, she's actually feeling really good within herself. She's feeling as though she's growing. So this to me kind of so far indicates that if she's been at all worried about him, and if she's been thinking about him, and if she's been doing her research about him, she's really not worried about the situation. She's not worried about what's going to happen in the future. Sorry for moving this camera, sorry. She's not worried about it. She's thinking about this new beginning. She's thinking about either literally moving somewhere, which she had done a lot. She moved around quite a lot depending on where the men were, to be honest. And she's got this new growth coming. She's feeling positive about that, and it's making her feel grounded. It's making her feel as though she can kind of spread out now. Something's going on with her. She's feeling very peaceful, very at ease, very looking forward to this new area of growth in her life. But what she's showing to the world is somebody who's somehow retreated. She's gone into herself. She's definitely retreated away from her community. She's retreated away from everything, which makes sense because prior to the murder, she did actually leave the state where she was living, which is where he was. And she's actually kind of portraying to the world that yes, she's having this retreat, but she does see a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, and the light at the end of the tunnel is in the form of this man. So actually that makes sense because she had recently developed a new relationship with another man in another state that was not in the same state as Mr. Alexander, who she actually went and visited directly after the murder. And I'm talking like directly after the murder, whether he was, yeah. So this is an interesting reading. To me, it's showing that, everybody's sort of talking about, the theory is that she'd planned this because of the, because she had, apparently stolen the gun. And on the way to visiting him, the day that the murder occurred, she'd bought enough sort of petrol or gas to store in her car so that she didn't have to sort of divulge, like she didn't leave a path of purchases of her journey, so that if any, and there's also, she dyed her hair immediately before she went to visit Mr. Alexander on the day, and she changed her hair colour from blonde to brunette. Apparently when she took out the hire car, she asked specifically for a white car because it was less memorable or less noticeable, and she did some things to the number plates, the license plates on the car. So, everything suggests that logically she was kind of planning what she was going to do. But here we have in the cards, what they're showing us is that, yes, she'd been doing some kind of research. She'd been doing some kind of like deep thinking that involved looking within herself, which actually is what people would have seen was happening for her. She did appear to have retreated. Now, whether this means that people who were in the circle with she and Mr. Alexander were under the impression that finally she'd kind of left his immediate circle and she'd retreated, which is what appears to have happened and what she is kind of projecting out into the world. And she's also projecting that she has kind of moved on, I guess you'd say, and that there's another man on her horizon. And she certainly is thinking this way. She certainly is thinking that yes, I'm, you know, security is coming for me. Finally, you know, there is a new rebirth around this. Security will come, and I'm feeling really positive about this. And this security that's going to come is really going to help my growth. And it's lucky, you know. It's a good connection. It's a lucky situation that I'm in, and definitely she was feeling very positive and peaceful about that, and she did feel as though there was going to be growth around that. Now, whether this indicates that she was aware that, well, you know, perhaps we have to consider that she thought all of these things, that all of these things were going on with her because she was going to kill the man. She knew that she was on her way to kill him, and that was going to bring around you know, that was going to bring this peace to her, because there has been a suggestion that the murder related to that sort of archetypal situation where it's like, if I can't have you, nobody can. So perhaps that was what was going on here. I wonder if we can just have a little look to kind of qualify that. Oh, okay, so we've got that again. She definitely was feeling really peaceful about what was going on, and that was, you know, she had this kind of quiet serenity. Let's perhaps look at the day that it actually happened, the day that she murdered him. Was she there to murder him? Okay, there was work on the cards. Okay. And it was okay. As far as I'm concerned, she was there to do this. It was planned. And I'm going to say that because what this is showing me is that she'd really committed to this work. She'd committed to doing this. And this card here, we're talking about reputation. We're talking about underhand things, but we're also talking about her reputation. And she's a Cancerian as well. And yeah, okay, so I'm going to call it and say that she was there deliberately, and that she basically to murder him that day. That all of these things that were going on in the background and within herself were because she'd planned this. She knew that this was coming to an end, and what she was projecting was, oh no, it's all good. Like, I've retreated. I've got nothing to do with him anymore. I've got my own life going on now. Look, I've got this new man, this new relationship that's coming on. I'm going to go visit him. You know, I've got a journey with him, which she did, and which is probably one of the only things in that whole journey that we know was documented, because he was essentially her alibi to an extent. Yeah, and so I'm going to say that basically she was feeling as though, if I cut this guy down, this is how I'm going to raise up. You know, this is what is going to bring me my new beginning. He's not here anymore. He's literally not here to be a temptation to me anymore. He's not here anymore to kind of lead me astray. She actually converted to Mormonism, and he baptized her. I mean, this is the extent. This is kind of her malleable personality. I know that she's a Cancerian. I don't have her time of birth, but it wouldn't surprise me seeing her, watching her interrogations, if she had a Gemini ascendant, because she's very malleable in terms of, like, she manipulates language really well. If she doesn't have a Gemini ascendant, then surely her what's the word, Mercury is in her ascendant. So yeah, I'll do some more research on that. But stay tuned, because I'm going to do some more readings about this woman and this situation, just because personally I find it really interesting. But I also find it interesting in terms of what's happening with this person, in terms of her appeal process. Anyway, that's me. Leave your comments below and stay tuned. And I promise next time I'll have a tripod, so I won't be fiddling around with this all the time, and I'll be able to do some good shuffles and whatnot. Okay, cheers.